Hello everybody and welcome to another episode. In today's episode I am going to show you how to properly remove or replace the rear shock absorbers from any Hyundai iX35 out there. And right here on the floor I have the brand new parts which I am going to install on this vehicle. Those are the brand new shock absorbers which will go on the rear side, and the manufacturer which I chose to go with is Sachs. And for this vehicle I also bought the brand new flanges which will go on the top of the shock absorber, and also the dust protection shield which will go over the piston from the shock absorber. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and remove the rear wheel and show you all how to replace and remove the shock absorbers from this kind of vehicle. Alright everybody, so after you finish removing the rear wheel, the next thing which you have to do is to go right here inside the wheel arch area, and you'll have two bolts right here at the top which are securing the flanges from the shock absorber attached to the body of the vehicle. And after that, right here at the bottom you'll have one big bolt which is securing the shock absorber attached to the lower control arm of the vehicle. You'll have to remove this big bolt from the bottom and those two bolts from the top, and the shock absorber will come out from its place. And the one very important thing which I recommend you to do before trying to start this kind of job on your vehicle is to buy also the shock absorber with the flanges and with the protection parts brand new, but also you have to buy the brand new bolt for the shock absorber, because in some cases the bolt in the lower position can be very stuck. It can be welded together to the old shock absorber, and the only option for you to remove it will be to cut it out and replace it with a brand new one. In my case, as you can see, the bolt it's very stuck. I managed to remove only the nut from the bolt, but the bolt is stuck with the shock absorber. And in my case, the only option it will be to cut it out and remove it in this way, and then I'm going to replace it with a brand new one after I'm going to install the brand new parts on this kind of vehicle. Alright everybody, so as you can see, the rear shock absorber is removed. In my case, I managed to cut the bolt completely because otherwise I was not able to remove it. I tried to hit it up with a torch. I used an impact gun and hammer it, but the bolt didn't come out. So my only option was to cut it out. I used this impact gun to push the bolt which was cut it a little bit into the interior and then out into the exterior, and eventually I was able to remove the shock absorber out from this kind of vehicle. As you can see, this is how the shock absorber is looking. This is a tool which is a must go if you want to use and if you want to work on these kind of vehicles, because they can be very stuck, they can be very rusted, and this kind of tool, it will help you very much in the future. So as you can see right here, this is the old shock absorber which I removed from this kind of vehicle, and in my case I'm going to reuse the old boot from the shock absorber, because from what I can see, the new boot which I bought for this kind of vehicle is not exactly like the old one, and is not going to fit properly into the top flanges from the shock absorber. As you can see, this is the difference between the new boot and the old one, but in my case I'm going to reuse the sponge part which I'm going to put into the old boot, and now I can fit it properly into the top flanges from the shock absorber. You'll have to push it like this and it will stay in place, and from here you'll have to put it over the new shock absorber and you'll have to tie the bolt to spec. Normally these bolts can be tied to 30 Nm. After that, another thing which I recommend you all to do before trying to install the shock absorber back over the vehicle is to compress the piston a few times until it will build up some pressure into the shock absorber, and after you do this 3 or 4 times, you can go ahead and install it back over the vehicle and everything will be perfectly fine. From here, as you can see, you'll have to put the boot and also the top flanges from the shock absorber over the piston, and you'll have to put the nut and the bolt and tighten everything to spec. Another very important thing which I recommend you all to do before trying to install it back over the vehicle is to tighten the bolt to spec. You'll have to tighten it to 30 Nm, and you'll have to counter hold the piston. You'll have to use a tool like this one to hold the piston from not turning, and with another tool you'll have to put it over the nut and you'll have to tighten it to spec. And normally to secure this kind of bolt there are some special tools and the more professional ones, but for now I don't have them, but in the future after I'm going to get them, I am going to show you all how to use them and how to perfectionate your work. And from here, as you can see, the rear shock absorber is ready to be installed back over the vehicle. Everything is tightened and installed like it's supposed to be installed. And from here, the next thing which I am going to do is to compress the piston completely, just to help me place it a little bit easier into the wheel arch area. And after that, I'm going to secure it and mount it to place over the vehicle. Very good, everybody. So as you can see, the rear shock absorber is installed back over the vehicle. Everything is installed and tightened to spec. I installed it onto the upper position and also on the lower position. I replaced the lower bolt with a brand new one, and in my case, the job is done. As also, those were all the things and all the steps which you have to do if you want to replace the rear shock absorber from this kind of vehicle, from a Hyundai iX35. Thank you all for watching. If you liked the video and found it informative, please leave a like and a comment down below. See you next time.